Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this conversation today. I'm honored that you're here with us. Today's conversation is one that's going to be raw, real, deep, maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but it's very necessary. We're diving into something that hasn't been talked about enough, and that is the white trans experience versus the black trans reality. This is not about comparison today. This is about contrast. It's about living in that duality and polarity and bringing that to the light today. This is about truth. It's about bridging understanding. I'm joined with a very powerful being, and I mean powerful. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course, of course, of course. Hello, everybody. My name is Waya Kelly. I am a two-spirit trans man. I am also an actor, a model, and overall multifaceted creative.
We love that. Welcome in. Thanks for being here with us.
For
My
having
name
me.
is A, and I'm also a trans man, and my pronouns are he, they. I'm a mentor, a mirror, a guide. I'm a truth seeker. That pretty much sums up who I am right now in this moment. So, with that being said, we'll dive right into our conversation. And I just want to be clear with our intentions today. If you have anything else to add, please do so. This is not a debate. I don't want to argue with you today. I don't want to go back and forth. I want this to be a dialogue between two trans individuals that is rooted in truth, compassion, and curiosity. I'm here to learn. I might be a little bit ignorant to this subject, and I will admit that right off the bat, but I'm here to learn, to be a better ally, to better understand your experience so that I can stand up if and when those moments come for me.
Right.
So, talk to me like, why did you want to bring this conversation to light? Before we hopped on, you said something stuck with you, and I'd love to start there.
Okay. Um, so I know we had talked previously about this. But of course, as I listed, I am in the entertainment industry, but I also live in the real world. I think what a lot of people forget is that before the identities, my one thing about me that's first before all of that is Black or Afro Indigenous. So I'm a person of color, you know. So from a young age, I'm taught to live a certain way opposite of our counterparts, aka a white individual. So as I got older and I started to really experience life, I had already experienced what it's like to be, of course, a Black woman in America. And then when I'm 23, I'm now socially transitioning into, living as a man. And now I also have to now see what it's like to live as a Black man in America. So it was like a double-edged sword. Like it was like either way you're getting sliced, buddy. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter the way you go. And then it also kind of plays into how like people be like, how we deal with, well, why didn't you just say this or why didn't you just say that? Well, here's the thing. Regardless of what identity I stay or whatever gender I stay or whatever it is you want to say it is, um, I still have to deal with that no matter what. And a lot of people don't want to admit it, but the most hated species on the planet are Black women. They are abused. They are masculinized. They're always treated as if they're too much or they're aggressive. And then if you go on the other edge of it, which I am now, as a Black man, I'm viewed as no good, a thug. It's automatic assumptions. Oh, you must listen to rap music. There's all of these stereotypes that I have to deal with. Or when I get in the industry, because I'm a nerd. So when I tell people, hey, I'm a nerd, they're like, oh, that's white people stuff. And I'm like, what? like, like, what are you talking about? And like, it's just so many different things and ways. And I don't want to go too off topic about what you're asking me, but it's just so many things that I think in my mind before I even walk out the door, or before I even approach things, or even before I even bring up things. There's times where I'll like even be around my own people, and I'm like, should I say that I like this, or should I say that I do this, or should I, you kind of start masking a little bit, as people who are neurodivergent, we mask certain things. And now that I'm getting to a space, I'm just like, we gotta have this conversation. Like it's too much. Like I should never feel like I'm doing too much or I'm doing not enough, or I should never fear just being myself because of my skin color, most of the time. So, yeah, so that's really like the biggest thing that I really wanted to bring it up because there's so many aspects that we can go into. There's a spiritual aspect, there's the aspect that goes way beyond the spirituality. There's so many things that we're going to discuss. I'm really excited that you decided to have this conversation with me because I never felt comfortable asking anybody else outside of after we had our deep discussion and we first had our meet. I was like, yeah, he'll get it. He'll understand. Like he'll have the conversation with me where it's like you said, we're not going back and forth. It's not a competition. It's not a yelling match or anything like that. It's a space where I can help you understand what you can do to help the situation and how we can progress past that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And thank you for letting me be that person to hold this conversation with you. It's really important. And I already can tell from just what you were mentioning, like so many different like crossovers and layers that we do experience a little bit universally underneath the surface.
Mhm.
The work that I do with people, it's really just belief work. Like we're diving deep into the belief system. So
Mhm.
what I'm hearing from you, correct me if I'm wrong so far, is that people aren't considering or even mindful of the overlapping identities that come with more bias, more prejudice, and more discrimination.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it's like people might assume that you wear the trans identity and that's all that you wear. They don't
Right.
consider, the two spirit side, the
No,
black side, the
not at all.
neurodivergent side. Like you have a lot of crossovers that, it is harder to exist in that way because of the belief system that has been created by the system and society. And I just
Yes.
want to take it a step deeper real quick just for the listeners. Like, can we just take a step back and zoom out and realize how the system has really conditioned us really good to believe these things
Mhm.
about your identity that aren't true. It came
Jeez.
from the patriarchy. And then also the things that I have to carry on weight with that I believe about myself that aren't true, but that also came from the patriarchy. And same thing with indigenous people, same thing with women, same thing with women of color that you were mentioning. Like we are all carrying these beliefs about our identities that never came from us, and it creates all this chaos.
Yeah.
And externally, we're all fighting with each other about different things, it looks like, but internally, we're actually all fighting ourselves internally. And it's
Thanks.
coming out, right?
Thank you.
And so the people that are fighting you and not seeing you,
Mhm.
truth be told, they're just fighting themselves internally and they can't see themselves, so they can't see you. What does that bring up for you when I go there?
Mm. It brings up like I like to say it like this. It's like a cognitive dissonance. It's like,
Yeah.
y- okay, I have these problems, I have these problems, and then as soon as I bring up that my problem may be a little bit more of a stressor than yours, it's like an instant yelling match. It's like an instant debate. It's like, oh, well, I do this too, and well, I'm trans too, and I deal with. Okay, I get that. That's understandable. That's valid. That is very valid. It's valid that you're a trans person, and there's people that discriminate against you because of your identity. But I get discriminated because I was born a color,
Hmm.
because I'm a race. And there's these preconceived notions that I'm going to be this type of way in somebody's head, regardless of how educated I can be, regardless of how articulated I am, regardless of my likes, my dislikes. We might even have common interests. Then me and this person have common interests, and they still won't care about all that. They're still going to jump and assume. They're going to make their jokes. They're gonna use me as a butt of their jokes. They're going to do something that is in regard to my race, more than likely, even if it's a microaggression, which I really hate. I get a lot of microaggressions. a lot of times is like the like I said, like the oh that's white people things. Oh, that's a black thing. Oh da, 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 da. Oh, oh, you like chicken. Oh, you like watermelon. Yeah, bitch. Everybody I mean sorry.
Everybody likes chicken.
Everybody likes
I love
special.
it.
Um, but, but yeah, dude, like, it's a lot of different things when it comes to that. But like I said, a lot of people's cognitive dissonance kicks in and they miss the point when you're expressing yourself. They invalidate anything you're feeling because it doesn't coincide with what they believe in themselves. So that's what I was like thinking in my head when you were saying all of that. I was like, yeah, cognitive dissonance, cognitive dissonance. Like immediately they just phew, everything cuts off. As soon as they hear one word, it's like, oh, forget everything you just said. You said white people, and then that's all I heard. And then they just go on to the other parts of what they feel about themselves. So yeah.
Yeah. You know what brings, as you say all of that too, what comes up for me that society's like really imprinted on us. So
Hmm.
many of us aren't even aware of what's happening when this is happening,
No.
but it's this like this unconscious like competition that starts to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Because at the end of the day, and steer me if anything comes up for you, but at the end of the day, regardless of what is happening on the outside, we are all carrying suffering, challenges, trauma, hurt, problems on the inside. And as soon as we start saying your experience isn't as bad as my experience, and then you just go on that teeter totter, you're completely invalidating not only the person in front of you and stomping on them, you're also invalidating and stomping on yourself. And people don't realize that. It's really hard.
Yeah. I'll say too, it's also about wording. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
how you word things because I've heard people say that exactly the same way you just said
Yeah.
it. Um, and I want to just reiterate with everybody that is watching this. Um, Once again, this is not a screaming match. This is not a debate. What I want to see here is unity and true camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see performative camaraderie because there's people that, oh, well, here's another one. I have black friends. You can have somebody you call a friend, but do you know them? Do you know their personal experiences? Have you actually sat down with them and had a conversation to actually understand what they feel and how it feels to just for a minute to walk in their shoes and see how you can make it better for them,
Mm-hmm.
how you can create a safe space for them, right? And that's all I'm asking for when it comes to this conversation. Stop having the debates. Stop having the spewing backs, the yelling matches, because that's all I ever see. Every time I pick up my phone or I'll go through a IG live or I'll go through a podcast or somebody's talking about, racial discrimination or racial profiling or police brutality or anything like that. Even if I go in the comment section, it's literally like copy paste of what people say all the time, over and over again. And nobody wants to actually come to a solution. And
Mm-hmm.
so here is where when we get to the end of this, I want to hear not my solution, but I really truly want to hear your solution after you take in some of the information and what you feel like we could do going forward as a community of trans people, trans men, non-binary people, two-spirit individuals, people that fall under umbrellas. Although two-spirit is once again, I want to let you guys know two-spirit is not under the trans umbrella. Okay, that is a cultural identity.
I
All right.
know.
Um,
I
so
know that one.
a lot of people will confuse it and be like, "Oh, well, two spirits should be under." No, it's not.
You can't do
You're
that.
not cannot do that. That is just not the way that it goes. Okay, so just
No, no,
leave
no,
where
no.
it's at. Do Google. Google, okay? The Google's your best
Yes.
friend right now. And that's another way that I'm also combating, um, constantly feeling like I have to debate certain things. I make people do their own research.
Hmm.
I'm like, don't
Yeah.
just for me. I want you to use your brain. I want you to use your critical thinking. skills and go in and do it for yourself. Because a lot of people in this day and age, they see something on social media or they hear somebody say something, they're like, oh, well, this has got to be true. Okay, it is true because I know as an actual indigenous person what the actual history is for me, because that's a DNA rooted identity. I can't explain that to somebody who will never have that identity. I
Hmm.
can't. I can try, but there's just something about being two spirit that you just can't really quite put into words for everybody.
Right.
Because everybody's gonna say it sounds like this, or it sounds like that, or it sounds like non-binary. It sounds like something under the trans umbrella. Yes, it can be similar, but there's just certain spiritual aspects of being two spirit that just does not at all touch on anything under the umbrella. I can't I cannot put words to what
Hmm.
that like to be a two spirit individual. But back to the conversation. Um, yeah, when we talk about that whole how do we come to a solution type thing, it really is the work of our counterparts, white individuals, because this system was built off of their forefathers. It
Hmm.
was built off of our backs
Hmm.
as Indigenous and Black people, where I'm at, of course, in America. But at the end of the day, you guys, your ancestors decided the rules of hierarchy, patriarchy, and all of these things. And those were the things as the colonizing way that we were colonized and told, okay, this is how you have to be. This is what it is. This is the standard. Even with beauty,
Yep.
as a person who's a model, I'm told, oh, you got to lose this weight. Oh, your face doesn't look like what we need it to look like. Cut your hair, type things. I had long hair. I cut my hair for a campaign because they wanted a clean look. Now, I don't know if I was dirty, you know. I mean, I'm pretty clean, even with hair, without hair. So, but it's just these type of things, like this ideal of Eurocentric details and features and things like that. That our ambiguous features are not enough
Hmm.
sometimes. So sometimes even that has us looking at ourselves from not only from the dysphoria or dysmorphia that we might deal with on a regular day basis of just being a trans individual, but also as a Black individual. I may be told my lips are too big. I may be told my nose doesn't look right. My nose is too downward sometimes for some people. I'm told all of these things. They will break down everything, but every time I hear it, all I hear is whiteness. Whiteness. You don't look white enough. You don't look Eurocentric enough. That's not enough. Those features are not enough. Type thing. So we deal with there's so many ranges that I sit here and I soak in. So that's why it's very important for me to like constantly ground and be a spiritual individual and be tapped into also my two spirit side, because like at the end of the day, there's nothing you're gonna tell me that tells me that I'm otherwise, that I'm less than. You can tell me I'm less than, but I'm not gonna absorb that at the
Right.
end of the day, But I think I'm getting off track, so I'm gonna let you ask some questions.
No, I love everything that you've brought up and said so far. And honestly, from my personal lived experience of this, like I have never ever been that person to ever see black people that way, Mexican people that way. Like I've always just truthfully, I've always just seen the soul, and I've always been learning to like learn who is that person in front of me beyond these labels, beyond the race, whatever it might be. So this is all really informative for me to understand what you go through, because I personally do not treat people that way, and I could never imagine treating people that way. So from what you've said so far, I'd love to hear like how like have you ever felt like the trans community centers whiteness even when we talk about inclusion? Like
Oh,
let's go deep here, because
it's
it's not just about society and the people outside of this community. My mission and what I'm really big on is like we have to heal inside this community first before anything in the world changes. If we're this fucked up on the inside, we're all just internalizing the same shit that everyone on the outside's dealing with, putting into another minority. So we have to heal here before it goes out there. So I'd love
um,
to hear that experience for you.
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, this is where it's gonna start getting deep. Glad you brought it up. Yes, I have. Within our own community, way too many times. Um, and I'll be 100% honest. As a person, I mean, trans people being on the I guess you would say, on the mainstream. It's still fairly new, but not extremely new.
Hmm.
Um, but what you see most of the time are white people. And I've made this my mission within our own community to see more representation of me, more
Hmm.
representation, more representation of Black trans men specifically. You see Black trans women all the time. We have a whole show called Pose with nothing but BIPOC trans women as the main cast on the show. Of course, some of my friends, like Ashley, was in there. There was somebody else, I forgot his name. I really did. But it was another trans man. I think he's a person of color as well. But they're two people of color. But the roles were small. They weren't huge. It was just like you see him for a second, and then it's like, okay, it was nice to see you for a little bit. You got a little bit of representation, but nobody will ever know that that man is trans because he had already gone through majority of his transition already. So he's already kind of at the state of his physical changes that are just, hey, I blend in with the rest of them, and everything
Yeah.
like that. I hate using the word pass because it makes me feel like you're putting
I
on
hate
a
it.
costume, so I don't use that word
I,
terminology.
I hate it.
Yeah, a lot of people will use it and probably comment it, oh, there, this person's passing. Blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, I'm not. I'm a man. Like, there's nothing passing for. This is exactly who I am.
Just
There's
being myself. Not passing anything, just being
I'm just being
myself.
Wyatt, man. Right. But yeah, so the representation part is always just struck a nerve with me. It's bothered me because I grew up loving acting. I grew up loving music. I grew up loving fashion and art in general. Just anything that was creative and that stimulated my eyes. I loved it. It would light my face up, seeing, people on screen with the same skin color as me. I mean, it's one of my biggest inspirations is Sidney Poitier and Denzel Washington. Love watching them growing up, and then I just got deeper and deeper down the hole, like, oh man. And then I was realizing, wait, these men have done amazing things and they've barely won awards. They've barely been recognized. Like, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense. um why? And then you get into the aspect of, I've never seen a trans man really that looks like me on TV until now. Where literally Brian is the first Brian. I believe it's Brian Williams. If I'm not, it's Brian Williams. Yeah, Brian Williams. He was on 9/11, 911, Lone Star 911. They just ended that, but he had a long running lead role in that show, and just got recognized from the GLAAD honors, won an award and everything this year, which is great strides. I love that, but they give us an inch and then they take it back.
Hmm.
Never see that happen with white trans actors. I've seen plenty of white trans actors. One of the biggest ones, Elliot Page,
Yep.
is still out there right now. They had no backlash when they decided that they were out. They
Yeah.
didn't have backlash. If you really think about it, we want to be 100% honest.
Hmm.
They had no backlash. I guarantee you, had
Damn.
that a black individual, a black female actress who said, hey, I don't feel like a woman. I've always felt like a man. And they transitioned. Say if it would have been me, maybe I would have already been acting and I was already a female. I was acting as a female. I was an actress. And then I said, no, I've literally never felt like this. I just did this because this is what the world accepted. And I said, hey, I want to live my truth and be who Wyatt is now. I want to be the man that I've always felt that I am and everything. And I switched and I changed. I guarantee you, the top leading headline would be switch teams, couldn't deal with it anymore. They're trying to be something that they're not. We're not gonna watch them or whatever their pronouns are anymore. This, that. I would have been blacklisted so fast. And that's just me being 100% not invalidating Elliot Page. Elliot Page is an amazing actor, amazing talent. Love him. Umbrella Academy, I'm a big fan. I love watching that show. And I've watched him prior before transitioning. All of
Well,
his great.
even a lot of people that I've talked to about his book in general, a lot of people that do think from a deeper perspective and are more intuitive and, think, about the livelihood of other people other than white people, a lot of the feedback that I've gotten and from my readings of it so far, it comes from a very privileged place.
Very
Hands
privileged.
down. And like
Exactly.
when you said that, like it really struck a chord to me. I was like, damn, you're right. He didn't deal with anything. And it was like, it was
Very,
perfect for him. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Let's lay out the red carpet. Here you come.
right.
But that would not have been the same if it were you or somebody else.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that is a true fact. This is not just propaganda. These are things
No.
that have been proven. Like I just told you, I just mentioned a whole black trans man who is an actor, and y'all people barely talk about him.
Hmm.
Nobody knows. I could only find three black trans men when I was doing my special on, why there's not enough black trans men representation on Instagram. I did a carousel about that and an informative post. And guess what? The third person isn't even black. They just label him black because he's dark. He's actually South Asian.
Hmm.
Yeah. And he messaged me. He's like, I appreciate, you putting me in there, but I don't know why they always try to group me in as being a black trans actor when I'm South Asian. And he's like, I would never take on a role that doesn't actually mean my identity, and things like that. And I was like, I appreciate you, reaching out, and I apologize because this is just who they brought up when I did my search of, black trans men, because you have to search, and that's the only thing that pops up. So representation is lacking. Like it's almost non-existent for black trans men, and even with black trans women, like it's also hard. Like we literally come up with our own production companies, we do our own things because it's hard for us to be put in roles that are meaningful to. Majority of the times they want to put us in traumatizing roles.
Mm.
It's always, oh, we're the angry trans person, or we have some type of street issue, or some type of substance abuse issue, and things like that. And granted, these stories need to be told. Great, yeah, I'm not against that and everything, but why can't we be in romance? Why can't we be seen comedy? Why can't we be seen in action thriller? Why can't we be seen in a fantasy role? I want to be in a Marvel movie. Why can't I be in a Marvel movie? There's
Hmm.
characters are non-binary. There's characters that are trans that are in Marvel comics right now. If you actually are a comic reader, you can read about these characters, but yet y'all won't cast them. Why? We're supposed to be in a progressive state now, all of a sudden. And it's like every time we get to a progression, they degress.
Hmm.
They, it's like, well, let's go back. That's too much. We're getting a little too much part of the agenda, or whatever they want to say that it is. But it's really not. It's just respecting people for their talent. And why can't we just look at people for their talent? Why do you have to go looking at their look first? Of course, I know you have to go for a look, of course, if you're looking for a specific thing. But at the end of the day, who has the best talent? Who can portray the character the best? Who can portray the product the best? It shouldn't be about that. You
Hmm.
know? And so I've dealt with that left and right. I mean, I've gotten those over and over and over again, no matter how much work I have. I have editorial work. I'm a published model. I've been in magazines, and I'm still not enough to them. I'm enough for myself, but I'm still not enough to these people, or to these casting directors, or to the world in general. And now we're set back again, because now the world in America is telling us that we don't exist now. They don't want us to exist. So now we all are in the same flight, but you're still fighting amongst each other.
Hmm.
They don't like any of us. And you're still fighting about being black, and you're still fighting about being white. So where does it end? Where does it stop? Where do we change?
What's coming up for me right now to answer your question from like the very start of like, what's going to come up for you and what do I think we could do to change?
Mm,
Hearing this, it's really bringing up like what you're saying, like why don't we have space? And what I'm thinking is like we need to make space for more people like you. Why are
mm,
we so afraid of it to begin with? The patriarchy is so fucked up in the head that it waters down anything that is outside of the box, and
exactly.
especially your race. And I cannot imagine, like, as even just a white individual having beauty standards growing up, I cannot imagine the beauty standards, double standards that come to you in that realm from the patriarchy. So this brings me to a space of, like you said in the beginning, these white people like me need to be
Mm,
willing to do this deep work. I
Hmm.
need to be able to check into my own bias. I need to be able to rewire those things and trust that this black man in front of me is just as amazing as all of the white people around me. I
Right.
need to trust that his expression is not a threat to me, but it's actually an expansion if I let him stand in his own truth. Because
Mm,
the more I let black people stand in their power, and God, my perspective is like black people are so powerful. They've been the ones carrying us this whole time. And if anyone can do it best in this world, I'm sorry to say it is either black people or two spirit. And I know that I have privilege, but like I would never use my privilege to harm other people in the way that we see it in the world. So, with that being said, all I'm saying is like we need to make more space for not just conversations, but for the visibility that you are literally fighting so hard for every day to be seen, whether it be in acting, whether it be in singing, or whatever you're going after. Like, you're literally fighting for that visibility. And that's exactly where we start is one with these conversations, but two, giving you the chance to be visible and show the world it's not a threat anymore.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
until we reach that, I hit the same dead spot that you do. Where does it end? How does it end?
Yeah. And I love how I like that you were okay to admit that people are scared of us.
They are.
They are actually scared of us. And say something that's probably going to shake this freaking video. And
Shake me, baby. Just kidding.
um, until you learn to not fear what is unknown to you that you will never experience, we will never see true change. Until you learn to lose your fear, which is actually DNA written in you. It's also DNA written into myself. There were things that I had to go through generational wise to release, let go of that several generations before me would that be so scared to do right now. There's somebody out there right now in my ancestry looking at me like, bro, I would have never been able to say that I was openly trans and live openly and be like you. That takes guts
Hell
to
yeah.
be and to break out of that. A lot of there's some of my answers. I don't care if people and there's gonna be some black people that's watching and gonna be like, oh, you shouldn't say that. No, there were some of my ancestors that were afraid to be real. They were afraid. They were afraid to lose their lives. They were afraid to be separated from their families. They were afraid to lose land because a person that is of white stature during that time. I was raised in North Carolina, so North Carolina, South Carolina is my people. That's where it's at. But I'm in the South. So you have to understand there was a big when the Confederacy, wars came about, that was about land. That was about farm crops. People think it was just about race. Yes, because it was in the South. There was only black and white people at the time. So yes, it was going to be about race too. But the biggest thing was these people were taking land from black people that was rightfully theirs.
And we don't talk
Therefore,
about that in history classes. We don't talk
therefore
about that in history classes, though.
during the time, all right.
Yeah.
So when stuff was ended, and black people could take on their own land and they could live their own life and things like that, my family was a part of that. So
Hmm.
you're not talking to somebody that's just read stuff. I come from the bloodline. I come from four generations. I think I would have been a fifth, fourth generation farmer had I continued, doing the farm stuff. Which, of course, I have uncles, aunts that own land right now today. If I go down to North Carolina right now today, they've got horses, they've got cows, they've got livestock, they've got crops, they've got tobacco, they've got anything you can think of, cotton, corn, all of that stuff. I grew up picking that stuff if I want to and just take it home for free because that's our land, right? So I say all of that to say that when I'm speaking on experiences, don't think that I'm speaking on the experience of what I've seen other people do. I'm speaking on an experience of what I've seen. I've been called as a child the N word, been put out of a restaurant and not served with my family in front of my face. And they specifically said, we don't serve y'all in this day and age. This is not in 1940. This is not in 1930. This was in 2000, the year 2000 going up. I'm a 12-year-old. It's 2002, and I'm being told I'm the N word. So a lot of people want to say, "Oh, y'all are talking about old stuff. This is so old. This is so old." If it's so old, then why are we still talking about it today?
Oh, it's not old. This is still fresh as hell. Like, we are literally writing history right now.
We literally just witnessed it being recycled all over again.
Yeah, no, this is not old news. This is like happening right now in America and all over the world, right? Like,
Exactly. So
absolutely. And
yeah,
when you're saying all that, like, they don't teach this in history classes, dude. And I think that's another
get out even.
aspect. You have to educate yourself. Like, I will be honest. I legit, growing up, going through the education system, I thought that the United States was built off of white people. That's what I was taught.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
what
I
they.
was told. And when I
That's
got out of college, like out of high school and everything, then I started to do research and self-study and all of my self-development stuff. And I had found out all this stuff later, years later. And I was like, what the fuck are they teaching us? You know what I mean? Like once you really start to learn things by yourself instead of what you've been told and challenge it and question it, you're like, what is even real? Who
exactly.
even, you know what I mean? One, what's real? And two, who made all of these rules? And why the fuck did we take all this land from the black people and make them seem like the criminals?
And not just that. Why did be first? Be for real. Let's go to the originator. Why did you take it from Native Americans? The other part.
Oh, I'm
So
not Native American, but I have my own assumptions. Like, oh, though
exactly. Uh,
Native Americans hold a lot of truth, a lot of magic.
yeah, having land and things like that is power.
Mhm.
So as we that is actually one of the biggest amounts of power you can have. One of my uncles and my godfather also told me, um, don't think about money as power. Money is power. Don't get me wrong. Money does have its power, but money actually mainly has its freedom. A lot of people think money would be the most powerful asset to have, but actually money is freedom. It's the freedom to choose where you want to live, freedom to choose where you want to go, freedom to choose where you want to travel to, freedom to choose where you want to vacation, where you want to eat, things you want to buy, the car you want to have. It's all freedom.
Mhm.
Freedom to if I wanted to, if I had millions of dollars right now, I can make my own production studio, and that would solve this whole issue that I have of thing, right? You
Right?
know,
You're right.
but but that goes back to that actually brings right back into we can go ahead and back refocus is that how you said people are scared of the
Mhm.
a person like myself having that visibility would do. I would change the narrative because what I'm going to do when I get in the industry is change the narrative all the way around. It's not going to be about the trauma. It's not going to be about the anger. It's not going to be about the racial profiling. It's not going to be about the racial discrimination. There'll be stories, but that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on real life,
Mhm.
focusing on the fact that, hey, I can be a husband. I can be a great boyfriend. I can be a family man. I can be your son. I can be your daughter. I mean, I'm not your daughter, but somebody could be somebody's daughter, whatever, and everything. I could be your nephew. I could be, your grandson, and things like that. Humanizing us is where it's really going to start a solution. And that's for me personally. That's where I feel like it's going to start a solution. When you start to see a person as a human being, that's where the solution starts to set in. When you stop seeing them as an identity, stop seeing them as a product, stop seeing them as a problem, stop seeing them as a competition or whatever it is that you have in your little itty twitty brain that's going on. When you start seeing me as a human and seeing that, oh, there's not much difference really that you've gone through. There's white people I've grown up with and talked to that have had a rougher life than me.
I think you brought the word exactly what I was looking for when I was saying, make more space. That's exactly what I mean. Humanize them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
And
really,
actually, like, learn from them.
yeah. That's literally it. Like it's not. I want to say it like this: the solution is not hard. It's the change that people don't like.
Yes, I agree with that.
Change is uncomfortable. You,
Hmm.
a lot of us are, and even me included. I like to be a person, and big thing that y'all gonna understand about me when you watch this. I'm a very accountable person. I wasn't always like that.
Hmm.
I used to, bat it off to the other team, if I didn't want to take the heat, if you can say it like that. But, um, but in this day and age, the only way to grow is to take accountability for things. Um, there were spaces where I wanted to even just blend in with being, stealth and being considered a cisgender man, and things like that. But if I did that, it would take away from the individuality that I have, the authenticity that I have. People don't need someone that looks like a carbon copy of everything else. People need somebody that's willing to say, "Hey, guess what? My name is Wyatt Kelly, and fuck all of your other shit that you got going on." Like, and that's just how I am. Like, I really feel like we have to feel that way. We have to be that way. And we have to talk that way. Like, open that throat chakra, man. Like,
Absolutely.
start saying what is on your mind. Of course, have discretion, with certain things because everybody's not able to receive everything. But in this day and age, we need some radical, radical expressions. We need people to say what the fuck is up. I've been seeing a lot of bullshit, even in our trans community. It's a lot of bull crap. A
Yeah.
lot of, oh, well, they're not trans enough. Oh, well, they're not fully trans. Bitch, what is fully trans anyway? What exactly is fully trans anyway? Do you understand there's people in our community that have disabilities? Do you understand there's people in our community that deal with mental health issues that doesn't allow them to transition in certain ways? There's
Hmm.
people that deal with actual physical ailments that will not allow them to transition certain things on their body. Does that make them any less? No,
Hmm.
it does not.
Exactly.
So these issues, we've got to start with these issues in our community. Like you said, it starts on the inside, and even with us as a black person, as a black individual, even in my own community, it starts with mine too, and even in your community, it starts with yours too. So the thing is, not for us to go back and forth and have these conversations. It's for you to take what you heard from me and go back to your community and say, "Hey, this is what I learned from Waya." And I feel like there's somewhere in this that we need to start stepping up and taking accountability and making changes.
Hmm.
It starts with at least one person, and then it can trickle down like a domino effect. And people can be like, oh, well, I never thought about it in that perspective. Oh, well, I never really set and did the critical thinking to like understand or hear somebody's story. We're never going to change the storyline unless we hear a different story.
Hmm.
And that's how I feel about the white trans reality and experience versus the black trans reality and experience. Nobody's gonna ever understand how to change what that feels like for me unless I told you.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here.
Absolutely. Can you tell me where you feel most invisible or most misrepresented? It can be not just by the cis society, but also even within our trans and queer world.
Mhm.
Like, where do you feel the most silenced? I guess is I would love to understand.
I'll go with the trans community. This cis community, it's kind of obvious where I feel most silence everywhere. But, but
Point blank.
um,
Period.
I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. When it comes to trans men, I don't feel comfortable around a lot of white trans men. I don't.
Me either,
And
actually.
that they see there, I would have never known that unless you said something, But I don't feel comfortable around white trans men because, to be honest with you, white trans men are the ones that I get those type of comments from about being trans enough, or fully transitioning, or getting the surgeries. And it's just I don't know. Like I've sat and I've listened to conversations from white trans men, but I also, and this is not to say it in a like I want to be clear. This is not a me saying it in a competition, a jealous or envious way. Okay, before I say make this statement, I feel like it is so much easier for a white trans person on social media, whether they're a content creator, actor, model, whatever entertainment space that they're doing in social media, for them to be seen and visible than it is me. I've been doing this since I was 16.
Yeah, I'm not gonna deny that.
It is. It's a full blown fact. I can go
Hmm.
to a white trans person's a content creator's page, and thousands and thousands of views, millions and millions of views. Some of them have millions of followers and things like that. And I'm like, they're doing the most mediocre things.
Surface level shit.
Yeah,
It
they're doing
literally is so surface level. The
mediocre.
ones that have, sorry, a lot of the trans men that are white that have the bigger platforms are just super surface level.
There, it's
It's all
literally
about the beauty standards. It's all about fitting into the box. It's literally
yeah,
the same exact narrative that we're trying to heal from, in my
yeah,
opinion. That's what
yeah.
I've learned. And all those feelings you experience, besides the race, I feel that same way in this community. I am very rejected in our community. I feel like an outsider most of the time. So when I do come across people like you that are, grounded, whether you're black, white, I don't care what your race is. But if you're grounded in your transness, that's what speaks to me. It's actually people like you that have pulled me out of the closet. Because before, that's all I ever knew of the trans experience was that trans narrative that all of these white trans people are putting out there. You go
Yeah.
from this box to this box. You must go through hormone treatment. You must have gender dysphoria. You must hate yourself. You must be born in the wrong body. Like it's literally this narrative. You have to be this way to be trans. You have to talk this way to be trans. And if you don't fit these boxes that we're asking you to fit in the trans world, then you're anti-trans. And then
Okay.
they try to reject you. At least that's been my experience. And it's heavy.
Yeah,
And
no.
I deal with this on a daily basis inside my
Mhm.
DMs.
Yeah.
I'm more ostracized by my own community than I am by the outside world.
Outside world, right? Exactly. I dealt with that too, but I'll say this: my experience when I did go viral, on a few things, specifically my being two spirit, what hurt me, I feel like the most was like the native community were questioning me, and
Mhm.
then of course the black community was questioning me, and then it went to when it wasn't them, it was people saying, okay, well now you're two spirit, like you need to say that you're also two spirit, and then like you can't be trans man and be two spirit, and then it was like I was just like being like, okay, you need to be over here. Oh no, you need to be over here. I am one person. If y'all pull me both ways, I'm going to split. Like like you can't make me fit a box. And I think too, if I want to be for real with you, because I'm like this,
Mhm.
because I don't fit a box, people are afraid that because I don't fit a box, that I will be seen as this completely, truly divine being that I am.
Mhm.
And it will push every conception that they've had about being trans, being two spirit, or whatever it is that they identify with. It will push all that out. It will make it untrue for them. It will knock their reality out.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not my fault if it does. You know that's not my purpose. But my purpose is to help you question reality. And I
Mhm.
tell people this all the time. I just recently came into understanding that purpose. The purpose is for me to be here to make people question reality. Is it real? Are you actually a man? Are you actually a woman? Are you actually two spirit? Are you actually non-binary? Are you actually asexual? Are you bisexual? Are you straight? Are you a homosexual? Are you a lesbian? Like so, I feel like a lot of times too, that also plays a role in too with, the white trans experience and the black trans experience. Um, for black people, a lot of times, especially being men, we're pushed to be super, super masculine all
Mhm.
the time. The black man feels like if they're not strong, they're weak. There's no in between for them. And that's the problem. I crave balance. I don't crave to be one over the other.
Yeah.
I always crave balance. I always crave to be in touch with my femininity and I always crave to be in touch with my masculinity in a balanced, grounded state as much as possible. Now, does it sometimes get off? Yes, because once again, I'm pulled back and forth between that battle, once again, of whether I fit this narrative or I fit that narrative. Um, and then another thing too, I feel like is easier for a white person. It's okay for them to be feminine. Like it's like super okay for like if you right now did a Harry Styles on me and wore a dress, nobody's gonna say much about it to you. But if I go put on a dress, they're like, "Oh, well, I thought you wanted to be a man." That's the first thing that's going to come out of their mouth. And it's going to come from the trans community. It's not going to come from the cis community. It's going to come from the trans community. And trans community is going to look at me like, why are you wearing a dress? I thought you were like this big gentleman and this manly man and this masculine guy with facial hair and this deep voice and things like that. Okay, I still can be. Like I just decided that today I felt pretty and I wanted to put on a dress. So like there's pretty men too out there, like there's nothing wrong with me doing that. But then that now emasculates me.
Yep.
Now I'm not masculine anymore. And I literally deal with this. Like this is not just like a trans thing. Like I deal with this from people who I'm supposed to possibly work with in the professional world sometimes. And I'm like, how can you break the mold and want to break out and have like a trans person in your brand and not accept what transness is?
It's because the world doesn't know what transness is yet.
Exactly.
Genuinely.
They
The
really
definition
don't.
of transgender, what the world has coined it to, just like black people, they've coined it to be something it's not.
Exactly.
They've done the same thing with the trans experience. They've coined it to be something it's not. And then the
Crazy.
ones that don't do the inner work, it's okay. I really sympathize for those people when I speak from this place of, oh my God, like, I'm ostracized, and I'm sure you feel the same way. I hold so much compassion for you. Just like the divine has always held compassion for me. It's like, I'm here when you're ready. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about my trans sisters and brothers and the people in the world that aren't doing the inner work. Like, I'm here when you're ready, but like, I can't force you to do these things. Like, you have to want to change. You have to
Mm,
want to evolve. You have to want to hear what somebody's saying on the other side. You have to want to question your own beliefs. You have to want to challenge yourself. You have to want to grow and get uncomfortable through that.
yeah.
And if you're not willing to do that, then you're just going to be the same grumpy, old, angry person for the rest of your life.
Yeah. That's a fact. That's 100% a fact,
And like
man.
we're all mirrors to each other. So if you living in your experience triggers somebody so much, it shouldn't be a projection of like you're bad or wrong. It should actually be a mirror reflection of like, why do I think this way? That's where our
Mm,
response should go. Why am I thinking this way about this individual? I just met him. I have know nothing about him.
nothing
Why am I
about me.
thinking this?
Exactly.
That's the real question. Because that's the real danger that's happening in the world is
Yeah.
of this belief system that society has literally really they've mastered their craft, right? They've mastered their craft of controlling your belief system since we've been here on earth till now. And I feel like we're literally at a crashing point.
Hmm.
Like we're at a crashing point. Like the ones that are like so afraid to change, like they're holding on to those beliefs that they always hold on to. But the ones that are out there willing to grow are literally shaping the new world for us right now. Because this world is literally just built on a belief system that's not even real. And so as you challenge people to question their reality, that's exactly what I do. Like, is all of this even real to begin with? Is there actually a divide that's happening? Or is it made up?
Right. There's a lot of factors. There's a lot of factors, and I love how I love how the conversation kind of transition into spirituality. I think that's a great topic for us to kind of like slowly close the conversation on. I feel like
Can I ask you one question, a
yeah,
clear question?
yeah.
Was your trans experience shaped more by Western culture or was it shaped by your background in culture?
That's a good question. Okay, so 100% honesty. When I first started transitioning, which medically transitioning,
Mhm.
in 2015, I took on the Western colonization mindset because, like I told you, growing up black, I grew up around a lot of strong black men. So, in my mind, I grew up with the concept of provider. I work hard. I get muscles. I need to have a deeper voice. My body language needs to show that I'm strong. I don't need to play into feminine ways or anything like that. I don't want to dress feminine. I don't want to wear feminine clothing. I need to be all man, type thing. I was
Man or
pushing.
nothing.
Yeah, I was pushing for the cisgender thing even for a while, I even used the terminology, passing, and things like that. And then it just that's when I told you like, I started going to my spiritual aspect of life, and it was just like an instant switch. It was only like 6 months in after I was starting to do my injection, 6 months in, and I was just like angry. Like it was just like this rage of things, and of course, when you're on hormone testosterone, it does spike your emotions to be more intense and everything, right? But no, this was like divine rage. It was like, sit your ass down. We need to have a conversation with you. Like, and I had a dream, and I don't really tell people my dreams because I'm a dream interpreter, and I know that dreams hold power. And they're also messages from divine and your ancestors. And I had a dream, and the dream was simply an ancestor came to me. It was an ancestor that had passed away, and she literally told me, she said, you were my favorite because you were going to be different, and she was saddened that I wasn't right now. And that moment, I woke up in tears because I hadn't seen her in so long. Like I hadn't seen her in a dream in so long. She was my favorite aunt, like my favorite aunt. Stayed with her during the summer breaks, all that spring break. I'm at her house all the time. And when she came to me, I was just like, okay, something's got to change. Something's got to give. So I started to just kind of read, dive into things, and then I learned about. I watched the first thing I ever watched, which is not like a great movie now, thinking about some of the people that are in it. But The Secret. The Secret
Mm.
was the first spiritual thing that I actually, when it came to manifestation, that was the first spiritual thing I watched.
Oh,
And
Bobby, I miss that man. He's my
yeah,
favorite. He's the
yeah,
legend.
yeah,
I learned a
right.
lot of
He was
all
a real deal, though, man. Like he
he
was a real deal.
most of my like knowledge and
Oh,
education
okay.
came from Bob.
Definitely, definitely. And then I just
Like,
went a rabbit hole, bro. I went down a rabbit hole. It's
hell
like
yeah.
traction. All right, now what's next? Chakras. Okay, cool. Energy healing. Boom. Meditation. Boom. Then it was tarot. Boom. Oracles. Boom. Like it was like back to back to back to back. And it
The
was
vortex.
yeah, and it was just like, okay, bro, this is where you're supposed to be. And then I started getting mentors. And I don't know if
Nice.
it's out there, if you're trying to do something better with your life, I cannot stress how important it is to have a mentor.
Hands
Get
down.
okay, mentorship is going to always escalate. It's going to elevate you every single freaking time. It's going to break down your ego. It's going to elevate you every single time because these mentors, they know way more than you do. If you're reaching out to them, they know something that you don't, right?
I
Um,
agree.
but I went into that, and then like I was just starting to learn so much, and then I ran into my tribal chief, aka mentor, Chief Littlefoot of the Lenape tribe, and he's passed away, like I told you previously. But he was the one that consistently confirmed that I was two spirit. And you can't just but an elder usually confirms it for you, right? And I struggled so hard with that. And so when I learned that my spiritual journey was literally going to be the biggest part of my transition, that's when I started to go into my transition with the spiritual aspect and the background aspect and just bringing up all of my DNA knowledge because people need to understand although you're reading something from a book or you're reading something from your phone or from Wikipedia or Google, there is DNA knowledge just kind of meshed into your body and your biology and your mind and your neurons and all of these things. You're just downloading things that you witnessed prior before or your generations before you are just instilling everything in you to say, hey, this is the truth, you know it, don't let them tell you otherwise, right? So that's what it is. It feels when I can say that that's kind of what it feels like being two spirit. It's like you're practicing your ancestral lineage and heritage in real time. And you're doing it in the new age. Instead of how it used to be, it's just in this new age and this new form of what you're having to live in now. You're living in a new time. That's all it is. You just evolve, people, evolution, evolve along with the times. So you're just a long ancestor just walking around the world. That's what I could say being two spirit is. And so when I went into that, it was just like, man, it's up from there. Like Like it was up from there. Of course, I went through, a lot of traumatic experiences throughout my transition and some things that I had to deal with along the way. But at the end of the day, where I am now, it's like I just want solutions for the world. I just want people to come to peace, especially in our community. The trans community is a mess, man. It's a mess right now. As much as you want to admit it, our community is a mess. There's not a lot of camaraderie. There's not a lot of people actually truly coming together. That's a facade. If people are telling you that we're coming together, we're not. It's literally every man for himself out here right now. And to answer, the question about how to make sure that a person like me is visible, not just me, but there's other people like me that are trying to do things that have goals and dreams and creativity and artistry and the industry. Support us.
Hmm.
That's how you do it. I get so sick of people saying, "Well, how can we make it better? How can we stop just liking my stuff? Share it, like
Hmm.
show people I exist. Stop trying to push me down to where like, oh, if he gets big or he does this, it's not gonna do anything bad to you.
Yeah.
It's not. You're gonna be a part of changing and evolving the world through a person because you believed in them, and you don't know. I could be your blessing. And you could just literally be ignoring me this entire time. And you've probably been sitting there praying to God, oh, I just need somebody to, come bless me, this and this and that. And he keeps putting me in front of your face. Every time you stroll, I pop up. And all you do is just look at it. And you keep strolling. And I pop up again. And you just keep strolling. And I pop up again. I don't know how many times he's going to keep doing it. And then you're just going to say, oh, well, there goes the blessing I gave you. You just keep wiping it away.
Hmm.
Because you don't know who I am. You don't know what capabilities I have. You don't know what resources I have to tap into. There's things I could do for you, but I guess you'll never know. Why? Because you're scared that I'm gonna elevate? I don't understand that. I don't I will never understand that. Like when I see
I
your
don't
stuff,
either.
although you don't have your comments on, like if you did, I understand as a person who understands algorithm and analytics as a content creator for over 2 decades, I get that if you don't comment on somebody's stuff, nobody actually thinks that you want to talk about it.
Hmm.
That's literally what the computer analyzes. When a person comments on something, it tells them, hey, they want to talk about this. Let's keep pushing it. Let's keep pushing it. Let's keep pushing it. And the more a person comments, the more a person shares. The more a person comments, the more a person shares. It's like starting an analytic conversation with a computer. And the
Yeah.
computer analyze all of that data, and they're going to push something. So a lot of people don't even know that. A lot of people don't understand that. And that's why I hold space for like certain people that don't really get what content creating can do for a person. I try to explain it, in a way that's not envious or jealous or like coming from a place of like lack or anything like that. It just comes from a place of education and helping people understand, okay, this is what I want to do, but I can't really do much of it if you guys don't truly support. If you guys don't truly say, hey, I like this guy. You need to show him to the world. And that's what like I kind of think of it like people that follow me are like my billboard. They're like my marketing billboard, right? So like if you follow me and you like something, okay, cool, you liked it. But what did you like about it? That means you got to comment. So now you got to express why you liked it. Now you express why you like it. Now you need to share it to somebody else and tell the world about it. That's
Hmm.
how it's really simple and it's free. I'm not
Yeah.
asking for money. Like I'm
Right.
not anything. Although I have things that people can buy, I have affirmation book that's out, like all this type of stuff. I have these things, but my main thing is just I just want people to see me. I know I'm here to be seen, and the purpose that I'm supposed to be here to be seen is bigger than me. It's divine. It's not about just me, because once I bust that door open, there's another black trans boy that's watching me
Hmm.
that's saying he can do it. Because I've had that. I had a mom reach out to me, and her son is a disabled, and he saw me modeling, and he literally said, he's trans, and he literally said to his mom, "I didn't know we could do that." That broke me down
Hmm.
to think that a child feels like they didn't know that they could do something. That's crazy.
It is.
That's how built this system is to make us think that we're not capable of greatness.
Hmm.
It saddens me that anybody just doesn't think that they could be just as great as I am. They can do everything that I could do, even probably even better than me one day.
Hmm.
And I want that for them. There's going to be somebody that's going to be better than me one day. I'm going to get old. I'm not going to be here forever. And
Yep.
there's going to be a kid that's going to come up and do exactly what I did, but they're going to do it 10 times better. I'll be like, hell yeah, bro. I'm like, hell yeah, do that shit. Because that's exactly what I wanted people to feel when I was coming up. I want you to have that same exact feeling. There's nothing that can tap into that. That feeling of just freedom and exoneration of knowing that you did what you're supposed to do and your purpose is what matters. And so just to kind of narrow up, the white experience versus the black trans reality. The reality is I'm not always seen. The reality is I'm going to have a life expectancy way less than you will. The reality is things need to be said, things need to be moved, and things need to be completely broke down and for us to build this up and change.
Hmm.
We can't operate off of the system that we have anymore.
No, it's dead.
It's gone.
It
That
really
thing,
is.
I'm gonna be honest with everybody. This is coming from a spiritual perspective. Y'all have to understand I'm a certified life coach and spiritual embodiment and empowerment coach, and I do this stuff for real. Okay, I'm not just talking stuff that I see off the internet, y'all. I work um, on a board of therapists, so like it's a whole thing. But I'm gonna say this: in 2020, the world we knew in America and the structure we knew in America died.
Yeah.
It was no longer here. The world ended.
Hmm.
The way people think this catastrophic thing is going to happen when the world ends, that's not what it is. It
Right.
was a spiritual warfare. We have been in spiritual warfare since 2020, technically 2019, but 2020 we started a spiritual warfare. It completely took the illusion off of everybody's eyes and what we were living in. Everybody was living in an illusion. They thought everything was going great. We have a great economy. We have a great life. We have great social skills. We have great this. Our kids can't read, y'all.
Yeah.
In 2020, people found out America's dumb.
Hmm.
It's not the kids' fault. It's our education.
Hmm.
It's not their fault. We have a higher expectancy of neurodivergent people because people actually were able to go get seen and diagnosed. They would not diagnose people properly before that. They had no choice. We didn't have nothing else to do. We were on lockdown.
Yeah.
So the reality is our illusion of what we think the differences between us were are not that big difference. There are
It's not
different.
real.
It's not real.
Point blank. It doesn't even exist. They've
It,
made us. They've made us believe something exists that doesn't exist.
the divide has been broken down because it was created for all of us to continue to do this to each other. And now they are seeing that we don't want to do this no more. We want to do this.
Hmm.
They don't like that, y'all. It doesn't put money in their pockets. Stop feeding it.
Yep.
That's all I can say. Stop feeding the beast. The beast is that government. The beast is that administration we're under right now. They are the beast. When you stop feeding them, when you stop giving them what they want, and you stop sharing their propaganda on these social media platforms, because I swear to God, if I see anything else with Trump, I'm going to break my phone right now. I get we're supposed to keep up with life, but I just I'm not gonna lose any more brain cells looking at this person or anybody else for that matter that feeds into this rhetoric. I just can't.
Hmm.
So my closing statement is the biggest illusion is separation, guys. And that's why this conversation to me was important, is because we're living as if we are separate, but the only thing that's different about us is our skin tone. We all are going to bleed. We're all going to leave this earth one day. We're all going to die.
Hmm.
What are we going to do in the meantime, in the between time, to make living safer for each other? That's the most important part.
Hmm.
How are we going to protect each other? Because if the government's not going to do it, we got to be the people as the people to do it.
Exactly. I completely agree. I'm a big believer in we the people truly hold the power, and humanity's waking up so much at this point. I really truly believe there's no excuses. There's
Hmm.
enough resources online for you to understand how to tap into your own bias and start doing the work that we've talked about during
Hmm.
this entire conversation. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like, the only reason you care so deeply and can see the world in such this divine way didn't fall out of the sky and you woke up one day that way. You went
Hmm.
through a spiritual initiation. You did your
Hmm.
fucking work. You let go of the system that was once controlling you.
Yeah,
And
I
I
don't
did
believe.
that work too. So when I look at you, I see you in your complete divinity because I see me in my divinity. And
Absolutely.
like, if we want to talk about what the real divide is in the world, that's always been the divide underneath the surface, besides the illusions on top of it, it's literally just versus the people that are willing to grow versus the people that are not willing to grow.
That's literally it.
That's it.
Oh,
And if you can amplify and magnetize your own growing and healing and surround yourself with people that are doing the same thing, I swear to God, that's gaining way more power in the world right now. And if we can just, I don't mean like ignore or shun the people that aren't growing. Like, I mean literally just don't give them time and energy anymore.
yeah.
And that's not bypassing reality. That's not doing anything. That's setting necessary boundaries
Yeah.
for your growth and evolution. And if you can focus on that, you can be a light in this world. You can be a voice. You can be the reason you give black people more spaces and more visibility. Like you were
Mhm.
saying, if you see your stuff, don't just like it. And that really stuck with me. And I'm going to make a point to do differently because I'm not afraid to show diversity on my page at all. But the people that are liking your stuff, it made me think about like diversity and inclusion that's
Mhm.
happening in the world. Like if you go to a company and if you're like, can you promote like trans people or queer people or black people? They'll be like, oh my God, no, not right now because of the political climate. Well,
Yeah,
fuck you.
that DEI.
You know what I mean? Like just fuck you guys.
Correct.
So, if you are a growing human being on this planet, please take in this conversation as much as I am and let's shed the light on the true power that's always shaped the world, which I'm sorry to say, but I'm not sorry to say, it's been black people. And we need to stop shunning them and we need to stop being afraid of them. And truthfully, I don't even know what that means. So I really encourage all of you white people out there to let go of all of those bias because it's completely false.
All right.
And it's so fucked up for the black community as well. Whether you're trans and black or if you're not even trans. Like it's fucked up that you guys have to internalize that and believe you guys are these angry things and fucked up things. Like it's not even true and it makes me so sad for the black experience. So it's really this conversation has allowed me to not just like empathize but actually walk a mile in your shoes kind of just by, hearing the things that you go through and the things that you carry internally.
Yeah.
So thank you for your courage and willingness, one, to do this work, but also like bring this to a conversation. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to hearing what the listeners have gotten out of this conversation. If they want to hear more, if they have any further questions, any other topics they want to bring to light, please let us know down below. But I think that pretty much closes up today, unless you got anything else to say.
Um, Something that hit me and then oh God, I hate that. Something that hit me. Well, one thing for sure, I wanted to say, gratitude. I want to give gratitude for you holding the space. Um,
Yes.
Expressed. A lot of times I go into interviews, podcasts, collaborations with people, and it completely goes the opposite way. It
I
turns into
hear that.
just this debate thing, and it turns into this like complete thing other than healing. And my main goal here is just to help people heal. Like we're not going to get anywhere until we start doing the work. And even with me, I'm
Agree.
healing. I'm consistently evolving. They don't think that just I'm at a space where like I don't have any issues, any problems, worries, or
No,
anything.
doesn't
I'm,
exist.
I'm still human. I still have to live on Earth with just the rest of y'all. Just going on a different path. That's all. But yeah, I just wanted to say, I want to give gratitude for you for opening up the space, floor, letting me speak my piece. This is the first time I really like openly said, how that feels for me, and I feel like that was actually healing in itself. Just releasing that in a way with the person who's grounded and that can absorb that information and take that information and actually alchemize it. Be an alchemist. Don't be a
That's
person
key.
who holds. Just don't hold things. See what you can change with it. Take that information, run with it, man. Go to the gods. I don't I don't care whatever you got to do, but do what you can with it. But for everybody watching this, um, thank
Let
you for
this let this conversation, I just want to say with you saying that, thank you for saying all of that. I really appreciate that, and I don't take any of that lightly. But with you saying that, I want the listeners to understand that this can be an example of how we can hold space. This can be an example of how we show more visibility, how to have these conversations. Like you said previously, it's turned into a bait or something that probably built a lot of tension inside of you.
yeah.
And truth be told, you've always deserved this space. And I think
I,
we need more of that. And I'm dedicated and committed to learning how to create more of that for you and others.
that means a lot. that means
Because you've
that means
always deserved this space.
that means a
Truly.
whole. That really does. Like that, hearing stuff like that is healing. Hearing stuff like that, I feel like would really change a lot of perspectives for a Black trans individual. I really feel like it would, to know that we're deserving. Not that like we always have to be told, but it's nice to be told,
It is.
because that's just. I'm trying not to talk too long because I know we might be cut off, but
Got 3 minutes, bro.
okay, really quick, really quick.
The ADHD, real quick, one more thing.
The difference between the white trans experience and the Black trans experience is the simple fact that sometimes we're not told enough of what we deserve, but we're told what we do.
Mm,
So being told that we're deserving of love and deserving of spaces that are safe for us means the world. Start there. Do good. Speak well. And go with love. All right, that's all I got.
amen. Till next
Amen.
time.